Hey there, authors. Welcome back to Writer's Workshop. So, writers, I was rereading Henry and Mudge and the Happy Cat. Y'all are probably like, Mrs. Lanning, this has got to be your favorite book because you're reading it all the time. I just can't seem to get enough of it. Anyways, I noticed something really special that Cynthia Rylant does in her series books that I think we could try because we know we can learn different moves from our mentor authors. So what I noticed that Cynthia Rylant does is she puts patterns in her story. And you might be thinking, whoa, Miss Lanning, patterns? You're talking about math. No, patterns can happen in our books too. Patterns with our words, patterns with our sentences, patterns all around, right? If you've ever sang that song on Go Noodle. So this is the part in Henry and Mudge where the shabby cat moves in. And I want you to see if you hear a pattern. You can touch your nose. If you hear Mrs. Lanning say a pattern or read a pattern. The cat, when they're talking about the cat, it loved three things about Henry's house. It loved the towel closet, it loved the bathtub, and it loved Mudge. Did you hear that pattern? I know, the story, the author kept writing, it loved, it loved, it loved. And it listed three things that it loved. Now I'm going to read another part, and I want you to put your thumbs in the air when you hear a pattern. And I'll give you a hint. It's going to repeat 3 times. The power of 3. All right. It washed Mudge all the time. It washed Mudge's ears. It washed Mudge's eyes. It even washed Mudge's dirty feet. Ooh! So, did you hear that pattern? Yes, it kept saying it washed. We can have patterns in our words too. And I think we can use this, writers. We can copy what Cynthia Rylant does. We can include 3 details about something to stretch out parts of our story. There's something special and magical about the pattern of 3. They don't just say, oh, the cat loved Henry's house. It listed 3 things that the cat loved about Henry's house. The towels, the bathtub, and Mudge. And it listed out 3 things that the cat loved to wash. It washes Mudge, his ears, his eyes, and his dirty feet. So remember, there's something magical about stretching out our details into 3 parts. So today, I want to teach you that famous writers like Cynthia Rylant play with patterns to stretch out parts of their story. One way they do this is to work in 3 details or 3 examples when describing something. So I'm going to try this today. I'm going to try to elaborate or stretch out a part in my latest story about Sam. Remember, he meets the scary guard dog and almost gets bitten? Well, first, I want to figure out the part I want to elaborate or stretch out, just like Cynthia Rylant did. So when I look at what Cynthia Rylant did, she first instead of saying it loved 3 things about Henry's house and stopping there, it then listed out 3 things that it loved. It loved the towel closet, it loved the bathtub, and it loved Mudge. And then she wrote another sentence, it washed Mudge all the time. And she didn't just end there with that explanation. She then listed 3 details of that. It washed Mudge's ears, it washed Mudge's eyes, and it even washed Mudge's dirty feet. Ew! So, writers, I noticed that when Cynthia Rylant elaborates with a pattern in her story, she's always going to add 3 details about a feeling or an action. So I think I'll try elaborating a feeling. Remember, my last story in my new series was about Sam, and when he tried to pet a dog through the fence, which is a big no-no. We don't pet a dog if we don't have permission from the owners. So remember, it was a guard dog, and there was even a sign that said, beware of dog. But Sam didn't read it, he wasn't paying attention, and he stuck his fingers through the fence. So I'm thinking my feeling would be that maybe Sam is afraid of the dog once he sticks his hand through there. And he's afraid that the dog might snap at him, or he's afraid that it would bite at him or growl at him or bark at him. So instead of just saying Sam was afraid of the dog and leaving it at that, I think that I could list out 3 specific things that he might be afraid of. So I might say Sam was afraid of the dog. He was afraid of its teeth. He was afraid of its claws. He was even afraid of its tail. So do you see, I didn't just say he was afraid of the dog. Then he pulled his hand out. I said he was afraid of the dog. He was afraid of his teeth. He was afraid of his claws. He was afraid of his tail. I listed out 3 things. I elaborated my story by stretching out 3 more details. And writers, this is so cool. You can do this as well in your writing. The next time you go to write a sentence about something, after you put the period or exclamation mark or question mark, see if there's 3 more details you can add to it. And you can even practice by listing them out on the finger. on your fingers the next time that you say something about your character, what they're feeling or what they're doing. See if you can add 3 more sentences. That's right, 3 more sentences. Think about how much that would help tell your story and put a clear picture in the writer's mind. And so we've studied that specific thing. Today, we talked about how when we finish a sentence talking about the feelings or actions, we're going to see if we can give out 3 specific examples using that pattern, whatever the sentence may begin with, showing exactly what happens. So, it's your turn, friends, to go ahead and write. I hope today that you see how easy it is to write more, to share more sentences when you decide to add 3 more details to your writing. All right, authors, it's your turn. Writers, go write.